Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Prep Huddle Live here on StrivSports.com. The sun shining bright in downtown Henderson, and we have got a jam-packed show today because it is our State Volleyball Preview show. We've got coaches' interviews. We're going to let Tony and Berk go at it a little bit later on in a cage match that we've got set up. That should be a lot of fun. Fun stuff as we get ready for the state volleyball tournament, which of course will begin in Lincoln on Thursday afternoon and run through Saturday night, and we will crown all 6 of the champions for state volleyball. All of our guests today joining us via the Truck Center Company's hotline, and we'll have Exeter-Milligan head coach Darcy White. We'll have Malcolm coach Amber Dolliver. And then, like we said, we will talk with Tony and with Berk Brown. Berk, of course, with Nebraska Prep Volleyball.com, and we will tease one of the next athlete spotlight videos that is coming up on StrivSports.com. So that is coming up next. So we're ready to talk, I believe, on the Truck Center Company's hotline with Darcy White, who is the head coach at Exeter-Milligan. And first of all, Coach, congratulations on another outstanding season and back to the state tournament. So we gotta know how have the girls felt and reacted to getting back to Lincoln.
Well, I guess they react like we do every year with a lot of excitement, and they're very pumped up to get going here. It's been, you get into practice on Monday morning, and they're chomping at the bit. They're ready to get back out on the court already.
Your guys' season 26-4 overall, but you still get the #1 seed at state based on the wild card points. So that obviously speaks when you've got a Hampton team that's undefeated. Potter Dix only has 1 loss. That you guys have more playoff points than them means you had a very tough schedule as well. So where have you seen, do you think, the team grow the most over the course of the season?
Oh, that's a good question. We started off with some bumps and bruises and took a few hits early in the season, and then September is really tough for us because we start off with a very tough triangular, and then we get into the Mudecas tournament, and we have a tough friend tournament with some quality teams in there. And, you really you learn what you're made of early in the season. I think it took us midway through October, not even midway through October, probably early October before we were really kind of, finding ourselves a little bit, and we were maybe 100% physically. Does that make sense? And so we really started finding ourselves right there early October going in, and then just trying to improve with each match.
Coach, I had a chance to see you guys, of course, during the CRC tournament. You guys in Hampton, what a match that was. So it was fun to kind of get to know some of the girls again, because you have so many that came back from last year's state championship team. You've got good hitters that we'll talk about in a second, but I thought Sydney Hall in that particular match that night at CRC, and looking at the stats, seems sure like for the rest of the year, Sydney has done a really nice job in that role as setter, distributing the ball all over the place.
Well, exactly. Sydney, she carries a really heavy load, and she has for the last few seasons, she came in as a freshman and was kind of in the second setter role, and then moved into my #1 setter as a sophomore. And so, she's been in that position since then, but she's really grown as a player. And, Sydney is someone we really expect a lot out of, but she also expects a lot from herself. The main thing with Sydney is she's just a very team-oriented player, and like you said, she distributes the ball well, she makes good choices, and she's really grown as a setter and in that position for us.
And then the hitters that will get a lot of pub this week, probably for you guys, or hopefully they will, because you're playing all these matches, right? Catherine
Right.
White, Haley Luzum, and Hannah Beathy. They give you so many options, because there is not one side or the other that it doesn't seem like one side is stronger than the other. The back row, it doesn't matter where those girls are at, they can put quality swings on the ball.
Yeah, I feel like my hitters have really, like we have learned a lot about ourselves throughout the year. We talk about being smart with our shots and placing our hits, because we're not really big hitters. We're not really heavy hitters, so to speak. But we have the ability to do that. It just depends on what we're faced with on the defensive side of the ball. But I'd also like to say, I've got a couple other hitters that have done a really good job for us. Ashley Benorden on the backside. She's a lefty for me, playing opposite Sydney. And then I have Samantha Horn, who plays opposite in the middle, and she comes up with some big hits, and we catch people off guard with several of my hitters.
And now you get to go back to Lincoln. You get to go to some big gyms, and obviously the goal is to play PBA on Friday, and then of course to get to the Vandy Sports Center there on Saturday for the championship match. But knowing that you have so many of these girls that had such big roles in last year's championship team, surely that's got to help sight lines and everything else for the matches, and just kind of the feel of the atmosphere going into it again.
Well, you'd like to think that we have some advantage in that respect. You just never know. And, volleyball is a game of momentum. It's a game of swings. We just hope that we can keep the swings on our side and control the other teams from getting some momentum and getting an advantage. So, we talk about staying intense and making sure we stay focused for the entire match, no matter who we're playing.
Who you're playing in the first match is Brady. That's the 5:30 match coming up on Thursday. So, what is the scouting report on Brady as you guys get ready?
Well, I've seen some film on Brady. They look very athletic. They look very well balanced. They have a very strong hitter in the Callahan girl. I think we're going to just try to be aggressive with our serve and hopefully take them out of their offense a little bit. Of course, that's everybody's primary objective, I would like to think. But they look athletic. They look like they play great defense. I think it's going to be a great match.
Well, we are certainly looking forward to it. That is Darcy White with Exeter-Milligan. Thanks a lot for the time. Best of luck to you and the Timberwolves again coming up on Thursday, hopefully Friday and Saturday as well.
Thank you so much.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll talk with Malcolm head coach Amber Dolliver. That's next on Prep Huddle Live. Home-cooked favorites and online ordering so you can skip the line. That's what you'll find at Dickey's Barbecue in York. Log on to dickeys.com, select the York address, sign in, or create a profile, and you'll be ordering delicious barbecue in just seconds. Choose from a variety of meats like brisket, pulled pork, chicken breast, or sausage. Add a home-style side like waffle iron fries, fried onion tanglers, barbecue beans, and even fried okra. You won't go away hungry. Try Dickey's Barbecue today and log on to dickeys.com. Kids eat free on Sundays.
Hey, what's going on?
Just checking the fields. Yours are looking pretty good. Must be doing something right.
Actually, I got a guy.
You got a guy.
Well, it's not just any guy. I got a channel seedsman.
Channel, yeah?
Yeah, I've been working with him pretty close to get, well, you can see for yourself. This is what I'd recommend. Let's get to work. Now, this is what you want to see.
Maybe I should get a guy.
Maybe you should get a channel seedsman.
Find your channel seedsman at channel.com.
Nova Fitness Equipment of Omaha has provided the very best weight room, track and field, and sports surfacing products for over 30 years in Nebraska. They provide Cybex, Matrix Fitness, Vertimax, Tough Stuff, Pro Elite, Stairmaster, York Barbell, Troy Barbell, and UCS track and performance products. From rubber flooring, strength equipment, cardio products, and sports performance accessories, Nova Fitness Equipment has what you need to make your athletic program successful. Contact Nova Fitness Equipment today at their home office in Omaha or online at novafitnessequipment.com.
Yeah, I get it. For the little things. Technology's great. It makes things easier. It's faster. We can get things done wherever we go. And we get all that from our bank. It works for us. But for the bigger things, the things that really count, I still want to talk to the people I know and trust. That's why I'm here.
Trucking industry gives you a lot of opportunity for careers because there's such a wide, vast list of possibilities and areas that you can go into. As technicians, these trucks are as advanced as cars are today, so we need technicians that can work on them and understand how to work the computer system and get them up and running so the customer can make money. These trucks are workhorses, but they're built for comfort and they're easy to drive. Freightliner builds these trucks for drivers' wants and customers' needs.
Home-cooked favorites and Welcome back to Prep Huddle Live here on StrivSports.com. We now have on the Truck Center Company's hotline. Here we are. We're over. We got both of them waving at me there. Amber Dolliver is the head coach of Malcolm, and the Clippers are undefeated on the season so far. Now they are 32-0. So first of all, congratulations, Coach. It's been obviously a wonderful season for you guys. But the 7th seed in a very loaded C1 bracket. Let's talk first about how you have seen maybe the team grow the most over the course of the year.
You know what? It's been a great season. I mean, to go 32-0 isn't accomplished for any team, but we've come so far this season. I have a solid group of 12 players that work hard every day in practice, and, you know, we came in and, you know, we knew who our big guns were and we knew who we were going to get the ball to, but we had a lot of open positions to fill. You know, we didn't have a setter at the end of last year and even the beginning of this year, so this summer I worked really hard with Gracie England on setting, and she's never really been a setter before, but I said, here's a spot that's open. You're kind of the best fit for it. Let's make it work. So that was kind of a big thing that we had to accomplish. But then a few other key players, you know, had to get thrown into different things. You know, Mackenzie Nutters moved to a DS for us, and, you know, that's not usually where she's at. A few other girls have stepped up big, so we've come a long way. I mean, I think our biggest thing is, you know, we're a confident team. You know, we know how we can play and what we can do, and we've really come together as a group, and it's obviously shown on the court.
You mentioned the big guns, and obviously it doesn't happen too often that a C1 school has two D1, and we're not talking about class anymore. We're talking about Division I athletes. But you've got Jayla Zimmerman, who is committed to Creighton, Haley Densberger committed to Nebraska. What is it that those two girls in particular bring to practice every day, and then obviously to the games that the other girls kind of look to? And like you said, you kind of know where you want to go, but it takes the other four on the court to get them there as well.
Yeah, honestly, those two are all-around players, both, you know, on the court, in practice, whatever the situation is. They're strong leaders. The other girls respect them, look up to them. Jayla and Haley are always going to push everybody to that next level. You know, when you have somebody coming into practice at the caliber of ball they're playing, you know, they're going to push themselves. They're going to push everybody around it and see where we can get to. You know, Jayla's going to Creighton. She's an all-around player, you know, 6'2", that can play front and back. You know, she can pretty much play any position. You know, I'm thankful she's on our side of the court. You know, she's a great hitter. She reads the defense really well and can put balls where they need to be. Haley, another all-around great athlete. You know, her biggest hinder is her height, but she jumps well for being, you know, 5'9". But she's just smart. Her court awareness and where the ball needs to go or where she needs to move on defense is amazing. And so having those two every day in practice, you know, we're pounding against each other, but then also they're teaching the other girls, hey, when this happens, this is where you go, or in this situation, this is what you need to do. And so it's just been beneficial to have those two and then help bring along everybody else on the team.
Looking at your guys' season, like we said, 32-0 overall on the season, so undefeated overall in matches. And not too many times did you guys get pushed beyond the minimum sets that you needed for a win. But when you got to sub-state, that sub-state round, you had to find an extra gear. Talk a little bit about the matchup there with Grand Island Central Catholic on Saturday.
Yeah, I knew going in GICC was probably going to be our hardest match all season. Their coach does an amazing job, and their defense is outstanding, probably the best we've seen. To be honest, it was a matchup I really didn't want to have, but, you know, putting those girls in that situation was good for them. And, you know, we came in and we had some nerves and we were, you know, kind of on edge. And when you're down 0-2 in volleyball, it's hard to come back. And so, like I said, we started down 0-2. The third set we came out pretty strong, and the girls played well, and finally we're working together and felt a little bit more confident. And then going into fourth, you know, I felt like things were good, but we got down, you know, 9-2 and 13-6, and I just said, okay, you just got to go out there and play your kind of ball 1 point at a time. And they fought back, won the fourth, and even in the fifth, being down, you know, 10-7, they found a way and finished. And that's what this group does. They never feel defeated. No matter what the score is, they're always going to push. They're always going to work hard. They're going to go after every ball. And I'm glad it worked on our end to come out of that match, but it was definitely tough for us. We found a few areas we needed to improve on, but I'm excited for what this week brings.
This was the first year of the for Class C, C1, and C2 to use. So many people have called it sub-state as a kind of a way to play into state instead of taking wild cards to state. You kind of take them into this this round of 16. So from the coaching perspective, how do you felt? Was that a good? Obviously, it was a tough draw for you guys based on the points and whatnot with GICC, but kind of the idea of the sub-state round going to state. Your coaching perspective, thoughts on that?
This year I liked it. You know, it's kind of going to be a year-to-year scenario and what's best, but this year it worked out great. I think you're bringing in the top 8 schools, and C1 is wide open. Obviously, we want to be on the winning end of it, but honestly, anyone in the field could win, and it's going to be whoever puts together 3 strong games. But, you know, looking year to year, there are some sub-districts that are going to be a little weaker than others. There's going to be some that are pretty loaded. So to me as a coach, I feel like this is the best way to get those top ones in there, because if we were still doing it the old way where it was 6 winners and 2 wild cards, we could potentially be looking on the outside right now. You know, if we wouldn't have won, you know, sub-districts or districts, you know, we're sitting at 8th to 10th in wild card points, and just because of our schedule. So this gives a way for us and, you know, those top teams to really have to work hard to get into that state tournament.
And one final one before we let you go. Looking at the state tournament history, Malcolm hasn't won a match at state in school history. You guys added softball here just a few years ago, and the girls won that state tournament back in October. Obviously, girls athletics at Malcolm have had a huge burst of momentum and winning success. What would it mean to these girls and to you individually as well that you could maybe come out with the first state tournament match victory in the school history?
It's exciting. You know, the girls are excited to play. I think we could have stepped on the court on Monday and they would have been fired up, ready to go. But they want to do it. You know, they want to prove to themselves that they are one of the best teams in the state and that they're going to come out with everything they've got and get that win for the team, for the school, or for the community. And that's another big thing is we've got a huge community support right now behind us. And you'll see the fans, a lot of fans come out tomorrow night to the game and really support us. So I think they're pushing for, you know, at least one win and see how far we can go.
It should be fun. C1 is loaded with the teams this year, so we can't wait to see how that C1 bracket turns out. Malcolm coach Amber Dolliver, thanks for joining us today on Prep Huddle Live.
All right, thank you so much.
And with that, we've got just a minute that we want to talk about a few things that are coming up for us on Striv Sports before we get Tony and Berk coming in here in just a minute. But we want to remind you and kind of update you with the state tournament starting on Thursday that North Bend Central and Potter Dix will both be streaming their first round state tournament games there in Lincoln. They will be watched, though, on the NFHS network. That's part of the state tournament thing that has to happen. So it will be streamed, but it will be on the NFHS network. The good news is that when you pay for that fee, you can watch the rest of the state tournament, including all of the semifinal matches. Then on Friday, you can even watch semifinal football. That would be Friday night, and then on Monday for the 8-man ranks as well. So kind of a good deal there. So be fun to check that out. And of course, us at Striv, we will be helping produce all of the semifinals for volleyball and for football on Friday, which means, yes, we will be traversing the state with a lot of different crews. Also, our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, going to have extensive coverage of all. There's our Snapchat, by the way. If you haven't found us yet, quick, take a picture. Our Snapchat will have a great number of extensive tweets and Facebook updates and snaps from the tournament, you know, kind of an inside look at maybe what goes on throughout the day for the teams and results, of course, on there as well. And this is also going to be a good time that we can talk about our Snapchat feature logo, that our filter, I should say, that is brought to you by Truck Center Companies. And we can show that, I think, from Austin. Yeah, this is what Austin came up with. And so your picture will go in the middle of this one, but this is what Austin came up with for the official Striv Sports State Volleyball Snapchat filter. That'll be on Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., so you get most of the day there at Pinnacle Bank Arena where all of the games are. So take a snap, take a screenshot then of that and send it to us at Striv TV. We'd love to see how it's getting used. And again, a big thank you to Truck Center Companies who made the funding available so that we could get the filter done, and Austin just knocked it out of the park when we gave him the task. So excited to see what's the picture in the middle of the filter coming up there on Snapchat and all of the different uses that you guys are going to use it for. Looking forward to that. Also coming up on Striv Sports, as soon as this show is over, very fun, we will have our next Athlete Spotlight feature with Leslie Fox of St. Paul. There she is. Austin and I ran up there on Monday and had a great sit down with Leslie. So she talks a lot about her season and committing to play volleyball at Hastings College coming up next fall, and then of course making it to state for the Wildcats. Haven't made it very much, but finally get with the sub-state match. They beat GICC. Of course, we just talked with Malcolm coach Amber Dolliver about their match in the sub-state round against GICC. St. Paul beat GICC in districts earlier in the week. So that was a lot of fun to go up there and talk to Leslie. And again, that video will be able to be posted as soon as this show is over. So lots more stuff for volleyball coming up. Speaking of more volleyball coming up, Berk Brown, Nebraska Prep Volleyball.com. Tony Chapman, senior writer, StrivSports.com. That is next on Prep Huddle Live on StrivSports.com.
Home-cooked favorites and online ordering so you can skip the line. That's what you'll find at Dickey's Barbecue in York. Log on to Dickeys.com, select the York address, sign in, or create a profile, and you'll be ordering delicious barbecue in just seconds. Choose from a variety of meats like brisket, pulled pork, chicken breast, or sausage. Add a home-style side like waffle iron fries, fried onion tanglers, barbecue beans, and even fried okra. You won't go away hungry. Try Dickey's Barbecue today and log on to Dickeys.com. Kids eat free on Sundays.
Hey, what's going on?
Just checking the fields. Yours are looking pretty good. Must be doing something right.
Actually, I got a guy.
You got a guy?
Well, it's not just any guy. I got a channel seedsman.
Channel, yeah?
Yeah, I've been working with him pretty close to get, well, you can see for yourself. This is what I'd recommend. Let's get to work. Now, this is what you want to see.
Maybe I should get a guy.
Maybe you should get a channel seedsman.
Find your channel seedsman at channel.com.
Nova Fitness Equipment of Omaha has provided the very best weight room, track and field, and sports surfacing products for over 30 years in Nebraska. They provide Cybex, Matrix Fitness, Vertimax, Tough Stuff, Pro Elite, Stairmaster, York Barbell, Troy Barbell, and UCS track and performance products. From rubber flooring, strength equipment, cardio products, and sports performance accessories, Nova Fitness Equipment has what you need to make your athletic program successful. Contact Nova Fitness Equipment today at their home office in Omaha or online at novafitnessequipment.com.
Yeah, I get it. For the little things. Technology's great. It makes things easier. It's faster. We can get things done wherever we go. And we get all that from our bank. It works for us. But for the bigger things, the things that really count, I still want to talk to the people I know and trust. That's why I'm here.
Trucking industry gives you a lot of opportunity for careers because there's such a wide, vast list of possibilities and areas that you can go into. As technicians, these trucks are as advanced as cars are today, so we need technicians that can work on them and understand how to work the computer system and get them up and running so the customer can make money. These trucks are workhorses, but they're built for comfort and they're easy to drive. Freightliner builds these trucks for drivers' wants and customers' needs.
Welcome back here to Prep Huddle Live on StrivSports.com. We have reached the main event of our show here today. Berk Brown with Nebraska Prep Volleyball, Tony Chapman with StrivSports.com. If you have followed along on Twitter at all over the last couple weeks, you know these guys have had a fun time going back and forth debating the merits of postseason volleyball. It's been a little fun to kind of watch with these two guys. So we're going to go class by class. We'll give you some picks. We'll give you some players to watch. We'll give you some coaching matchups. We'll give you some of the best ones to see. I have no idea what camera I'm on right now, so I think I'm just going to talk to the wall and see what happens here. But Berk, I want to bring you in first here, and we're going to talk about Class D2 in just a second. But it's always fun to get the state volleyball tournament going in Lincoln. Fun venue for a lot of places, and semifinals there at PBA, championship at Devaney. It is hard to beat Saturday for all the different classes.
It is. Not only is it just always my favorite weekend of the year, but I really, truly feel this year, Eric, this has the potential to be one of the all-time great state tournaments. And I think there's so many incredible storylines, so many great players, so much balance among the teams from Class A all the way through Class D2. Each one of those brackets is going to have a really great story to tell this weekend, and I'm just completely jacked up to go see what happens.
Well, in that case, let's let you go with Class D2. It is going to be a fun one. Exeter-Milligan is the top seed. We just talked with Coach Darcy White. Hampton might be the favorite, though, as the 2 seed. Potter-Dix from out west. They've only got 1 loss. So, how do you think D2 might shake out?
Class D2, I think, is one of probably my favorite bracket of them all. I mean, you're right. You've got Exeter-Milligan and Hampton seem like they are on a collision course for the championship, and that would be an incredible, championship match. We'd be lucky to have that. The Hampton taking the 3-2 win over Exeter-Milligan in the Crossroads Conference Finals earlier this year kind of just sets the stage for what could be an incredible showdown. If they both get there. And Hampton working on a very, very magical season in which not only are they undefeated, but they, have only dropped the 2 sets all year long. And that was to Exeter-Milligan. And I think Exeter-Milligan, they're the defending state champs. They've got something left to prove, and it should be incredible. But at the same time, you got Potter-Dix against CWC kicking that off. And Potter-Dix is just a 1-loss team. They have destroyed people all year. The question is, their strength of schedule is not that great. I believe they only played 3 Tier 1 teams. And basically, I think they were 4-4 in the 8 sets of those matches, but just destroyed everybody else. So they should be looked at as a threat. I think it'll be interesting to see what they could do. I love Red Cloud in there against Hampton. I think that they could give Hampton some issues. I think Mary Nibby, the sophomore setter for Red Cloud, is maybe has the most God-given ability of any player that you will see at the state tournament. At 6'2", she is an incredibly fluid athlete, and I think is going to be a superstar in this state. And then she has an older sister, Morgan Nibby, who's 6'1", who's a tremendous player. So it will definitely be a battle for Hampton. And then, I like Brady going up against Exeter-Milligan because Brady's got probably one of my favorite players in Tara Callahan, who's 6'1", do-it-all player for them. She sets, she hammers the ball, she does everything. One of my just favorite players because she's a good kid too. And so that Class D2 bracket has got great teams, great players, but ultimately I think we come down to Hampton and Exeter-Milligan for all the marbles again.
So if I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here, do you like the way CRC went, or do you like the defending champs in that one then?
9 times out of 10, Eric, I would say go with the defending state champ, because I think there's a special quality that the defending champs have at this time of the year. But I think you have to recognize the incredible uniqueness and special thing happening in Hampton this year. I think not only do they have incredible talent, I think it's a team that has demonstrated incredible chemistry, and to do what they've done and be on the mission that they're on, I just don't think that there's any stopping Hampton. I think every once in a while you get those rare, magical teams, and I think Hampton is one of them this year, and I think that they get it done.
All right, so that is Berk in D2. We're going straight up the list. We're going to D1. Tony Chapman with Striv Sports. I love this graphic that Austin has put together, by the way. You guys are gonna freak out when you see this after the show. Johnson Brock is the defending champs in Class D1, but Tony, they get in on the wild card. They've been at the top of the rankings for most of the season. The Eagles, Fallon Studheit is heading off to Nebraska in a couple years. Are the Eagles still the team to beat in D1?
I think it's going to be an interesting class. I feel misinformed having just listened to Berk break down every player in Class D2. So my talk will be way shorter than Berk's talk and more general. But Eric, it's interesting. This is the exact same way that Johnson Brock qualified last year. They're a team that faced a match point in the semifinals last year against Emerson Hubbard in the 4th set, and they won in 5, and then they won the state championship in a sub-district final rematch, I believe, with Diller Odell. Interrupt me if I'm wrong there, Berk. But I do like Johnson Brock, and I actually kind of even do like them to play Meridian in the state final. And how interesting would it be if at the Devaney Center on Saturday morning, the first 2 matches featured 3 teams from the Crossroads Conference. I think it could happen. I'm curious to see though how those other 2 matches go, and I'd love to get Berk's take on them, because you've got an Ansley Litchfield team who's got the sophomore Fallon Ryan, who has 313 blocks and 225 kills on the year. She's a 6-footer, and Elgin Public Pope John got off to the hot start. They were number 1 for a while. And I believe have lost 4 of their last 9 matches. And with Angela Litchfield's legendary coach, Pat Hoblin, you probably never want to play the Spartans at the state tournament. And then I'm curious to see how the private school match goes at 7:30 as well. I think GACC and Lutheran High Northeast both could possibly, with the tough schedules that they playing a lot of C1 and C2 teams, could possibly give Johnson Brock some trouble in the semifinals. But my gut tells me to take Johnson Brock and Meridian in that one, and Johnson Brock to defend their title as well.
Wouldn't that would be fun, and wouldn't the Crossroads Conference kind of puff out their chest? Oh, by the way, Meridian beat BDS for 3rd in the CRC, so that's also where they have their tournament pedigree. So let's move it up now to Class C1, where Berk Diller Odell is moving up from D1, like Tony said in the championship game a year ago. Now they're in C2. They're number 1 in the seedings, but then you've got always Crofton is always dangerous there. All of the athletes that Crofton has. How do you see C2 shaking out?
You know, again, I think we've got incredible balance. Tony touches on it in the D1 class. The same thing happens in Class C2 Diller Odell has kind of been the team to beat all year. And they've got, Madison Juergens. If people haven't seen Madison Juergens play, they're doing themselves a disservice. She's headed to South Dakota, which is a program that is about ready to just blow the roof off up there. They're doing incredible things. And Madison Juergens, probably one of the best athletes, multifaceted players that we have in this state. And when you have a player like that at a C2 school, you're going to go a long ways. But, it's not a one-man show. They've got Madison Hayek is a great middle for them. And they've got, I believe it's Paige Vitosh. I'm kind of flying blind here on the road. And I hope I didn't get her first name wrong, but she's a really up-and-coming freshman, and they're going to be tough to beat. But I will tell you, Crofton has got great talent. I mean, if they actually really focused on volleyball instead of just getting warmed up for basketball season there, they would be phenomenal. The Monica Ahrens is an incredible middle, as athletic as anybody that you'll see. I'm drawing a complete blank on, here it is, Kelsey Sanger finally came to me, is just a stud athlete, and Crofton will be very dangerous. But the team to really watch here is Stanton. Stanton has been close the last couple years. Watching them as far back as the summer, they're motivated. I think that Jessie Brandel is a sophomore who's one of the most dynamic players in the state as well. I think she's worth the price of admission by herself. She's going to be a big-time back row player for somebody, but she's athletic enough at 5'7" to dominate at the net at this level. And she missed part of the season. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but she is back, and she is the kind of player that could carry a team to a state title. She's that good. And I think that Stanton-Crofton match is going to be the potential for that match in the semifinals could be just absolutely phenomenal.
All right, so we're going to
You're going to put me on the spot, aren't you?
Well, no, I'm not necessarily, unless you want to make a pick.
He has to make.
He has to make a pick. That's kind of the point, right?
I have to make a pick.
You have to make a pick.
Jeez.
You have to have 17 hate you in every class, Berk.
I got to go Stanton. It's a little bit of a diversion from, I've had Diller Odell ranked number 1 all year. I just think there's something about Stanton. I think Stanton is the team that gets it done. It's, I'm old enough to remember when Bum Phillips was the coach of the Houston Texans, but back then it was the Houston Oilers. And he had a saying that after they had gotten so close for a couple of years that they, knocked on the door, then they banged on the door, and then this year they were going to, I'm editing here, but he was going to knock the door down. And I just feel like that's Stanton this year. I think Stanton's been taking steps closer and closer to that state title. I think they get it done this year.
All right, fair enough. The pick has been made. Tony, we go to Class C1. We talked with Malcolm coach Amber Dolliver. Her team is 32-0 and is the 7th seed in the C1 bracket. There is a combined 24 losses amongst the 8 teams. C1 might be the most loaded bracket as far as winning teams in the state. It might be the most fun bracket to watch. So shake C1 down for us.
Well, it's about almost impossible to do. I would tell you that much. You're right. 24 losses total between the 8 teams that did qualify to Lincoln, and as you mentioned already, Malcolm at 32-0 is the 7th seed in that bracket. Even look at 8 seed at North Bend Central. Yeah, I heard you. Good one. North Bend Central is even 28-2 at just over 45 points. They're the 8th seed. So it'll be interesting to see how this one shakes out. I think the St. Paul Concordia match will be fantastic in the first round, and it's been fun. I've seen St. Paul play now 2 matches, saw them at sub-districts where they were able to beat Grand Island Central Catholic, and I love all the seniors there. And I know they don't have state tournament experience, but they have big game experience. Twice in their career, their season has been ended by a state champion that they've played in the sub-district or district final. And so, and then a third time, a state qualifier beat them as well to end their season. So they have big game experience. I'm leaning right now as I look at this thing at taking a Kearney Catholic St. Paul round 3 final at 3 o'clock at the Devaney Center, and it'd be a rubber match of their games that they split earlier this year, with St. Paul winning the Loup Platte Conference Championship in the Loup Platte tournament there, and Kearney Catholic winning the regular season rematch. But I think the match that everyone should go see is that 7:30 match at North Star with Malcolm and Shadron. Jayla Zimmerman for Malcolm. Berk can speak much more about her than I can. I know she's had over 30 kills in 3 matches this year. She was fantastic in the 5th set against GICC on Saturday. And then the All-Stater 6-footer, Jaden McCarty, the 6-footer for Shatter, and that should be quite a matchup in C1. All of those games, you could probably park your bottom at Lincoln North Star and watch some pretty good volleyball on Thursday afternoon.
Real quick before we get into B with Berk, and I know that B uses the and I'm still calling it the sub-state round, the round of 16 before you get to state with a wild card. Berk, I'm going to put you on the spot because this wasn't in our pre-show notes. Is Grand Island Central Catholic the best team amongst B, C1, and C2 with that sub-state that made it to the round of 16 but didn't make it to state?
Yes.
Okay.
No question asked.
Okay. Well, I asked the question,
Grand
there's the
Island
answer.
Central Catholic is, in my opinion, Grand Island Central Catholic is a top 20 team in the state, regardless of class. Best team that's not at Lincoln, but that's not, I have to maybe begrudgingly move a little bit closer to Tony's side.
Whoa.
That's not a problem because of the NSA points or the sub-state system. That is the result of incredible volleyball at the C1 level. There's as great as I think Grand Island Central Catholic is, and they're going to be even more phenomenal in the future. There's not a single team in that Class C1 field that you can point to and say they don't deserve to be there, and GICC does. And that means the system worked.
Wow, that's
Ord and Lincoln Christian are pretty good too, aren't they, Berk?
They are. I consider those two. Yep. I mean, it just, we've preached about that on this show, and I know you guys have tweeted about it. We've tweeted about it. There were legitimately 10 to 12 teams in Class C1 this year that if they were playing their best volleyball at the end of the year could legitimately win a state title. And that's not because it was mediocrity. It was because there was a dozen high-level teams in Class C1 this year.
fun stuff. Okay, now we'll get back into the actual bracket, and Berk was going to be up next with Class B, and so my pre-show note says, Berk, who will play well enough to say we got beat by Scott in the Class B state championship?
That's pretty much what it's come down to. I think there's some good volleyball in Class B. I think, but Scott is just hands down. We have to start talking about where Scott ranks in terms of the all-time great teams here in Nebraska. Do I think that they're as good as the 2-3 Papio South teams that had the Rolfsons and Kelly Honor on it? No. But are they probably the best team the state has ever had that didn't have a Rolfson on it? I think you got to make that case. I mean, Scud is absolutely loaded. They're incredibly well coached. They defeated in straight sets Olathe Northwest, which won the Kansas 6A state title, which is Kansas's largest class. They defeated Western Christian from Iowa, which is one of Iowa's top teams. They beat St. James out of Lenexa, Kansas twice, and actually one time without Brooke Haney in the front row, and St. James finished second at the Kansas 5A level, their second largest class. Look, they have earned the right to basically be in the discussion about whether or not they're one of, or if not the greatest high school team in the history of the state. However, they still have to win 3 more matches before we have that conversation. And, does anybody beat them? I'm going to tell you right now, do not sleep on Diane Rose in Grand Island Northwest, because I wrote an article about this the other day. Grand Island Northwest had an incredible team a couple years ago that was mowing down everyone in Class B, just absolutely destroying people. Came into state undefeated, top-ranked. It was just a matter of them just sweeping through the state tournament and getting their trophy. And lo and behold, Norris came out of nowhere and knocked them off because Norris had an incredible block and some great athletes. And Grand Island Northwest had never seen them before. Wasn't prepared for it. Didn't know how to respond. The karma here is now Grand Island Northwest has got the shoe on the other foot, if you will. And the one team Scott hasn't beat, the one team that Scott has not seen, and the one team that they might not be prepared for is Grand Island Northwest. They have not played. Nobody puts up a better block in this state than Grand Island Northwest, and I doubt that you would find anybody better coached than Grand Island Northwest. So does Scott win a state championship? I believe so. Grand Island Northwest is going to scare the bejeebers out of them, though, and I would fully expect that Class B state final to be an absolute epic contest, probably go 5 sets, and I think at the end of the day, you might be able to make an argument that the 2 best teams in the state at the end of the year will be Northwest and Scott, and they'll play in the Class B final.
5 o'clock from the Devaney Center is where you would see that one. So very interesting stuff there. I think that's a good way to move on. So Tony, let's go to Class A. You get the big dogs up there. It sure seems like when you look at the 8 teams that are there, it is the cast of usual suspects. So amongst the cast of usual suspects of the Class A volleyball tournament at State, who do you like coming out of there?
Well, it's really interesting to look at these teams just off stats. I've seen a couple of them play. I saw Lincoln Southeast play, and I also saw Millard West play earlier this year. But you look and you read everything, and again, Berk's probably more attuned to this than me. But Marion, the defending champion, their balance really jumps off of the stat sheet for me. They have 7 players who have over 100 kills, and so that somebody's having an off night, somebody else can pick them up. So I think that'll be interesting. But Papillion of Vista South on the other side of that bracket has 3 players over 200 kills, and so that would be an interesting. I think I would pick that to be a semifinal match, and I think that would be maybe an interesting one. I don't know if Berk would maybe call for a Titan upset in that one or not. And then on the bottom half of the bracket, you really got to look at Papillion La Vista. Steph Gaston, 6'5", she's got over 400 kills. And Sydney Fitzgibbons at over 300 kills might be 2 of the top players in Class A. I would take, I think probably just looking at the balance and experience again of winning state champions, I would take Omaha Marion, I think maybe to win A over Papillion La Vista. I don't know if that's if that has me off my rocker. It's the top 2 seeds. It's maybe a little more chalky than I would like to be, but I think maybe Papillion La Vista South is a team that could maybe get to the finals. But I'd love to have Berk talk about Class A because he knows way more than I do.
All right, there you go. Challenge issued, Berk. Best matchup you might want to see in Class A.
Best matchup in Class A. I think the big intrigue for me is Omaha Marion. I mean, not only are they going for 4 straight state titles, but I believe it was Friday at practice, their Iowa recruit, wing in the middle, I believe, I don't want to say this inaccurately, but she suffered a pretty, severe injury to her foot, ankle. I believe one of them is broken. I'm not exactly clear which yet. That takes out their top blocker and their number 2 kill leader. And so that makes it very intriguing. Marion obviously loaded. They will move forward and still be very tough. But I think Lincoln Southwest now all of a sudden has to feel pretty good about having at least an improved shot in the first round. And then if I'm, Tony touched on it, Papio South is maybe lurking out there. The defending champion in a way is kind of injured, a little bit hurt. Will people jump on them, or will Marion kind of come out like a cornered cat, if you will? So I think that's where a lot of the intrigue for me is on the bottom half of that bracket, where is Marion going to be able to scratch and claw its way out of there and get to the finals?
All right, fellas, we're getting a little short on our time because we got to get everyone back to actual jobs here. So we're going to go a little bit rapid fire, and Berk's going to get 2, Tony's going to get 1. Berk, you have 1 minute to give us the 5 players, be it in any class, 5 players that you definitely want to keep an eye on throughout the state tournament.
Time limit. You should have put me on a time limit a long time ago.
I know. Anyway.
Jayla Zimmerman. I'm speechless when I tried to describe Jayla Zimmerman at Malcolm. Probably the most special athlete I've seen in the last 4 years. You have to watch her. Brooke Haney at Omaha Skutt, same thing. They are cut from the exact same cloth. Brooke's cloth is just a little bit shorter than Jayla's. Just dynamite in a smaller package. I think you've got to look at Madison Van Housen at Hampton. She's worth the price of admission. I'm excited to watch her play. I'm just trying to think of kids that I maybe didn't name before. Sierra Holiday, I love watching that kid play. Grand Island Northwest middle, very strong, physical, aggressive middle, really kind of an anchor there. And then I'm just going to go back to Mary Nibby at Red Cloud. I know I mentioned her before. I think she's got the potential to be absolutely phenomenal. She's a 6'2" fluid athlete, sets the ball. That Red Cloud team is a team that hopefully people get out and watch and see because it's their first trip to state, and those are some pretty phenomenal athletes. And I think Mary Nibby's a name we hear a lot of in the future.
All right, Tony, same little time crunch for you. Matchup you would most like to see on Saturday in one of the class's championship games?
Well, I'll stay away from the Crossroads Conference since I'm a homer. So I go back to Class C1. I think the one I would most like to see is St. Paul and Kearney Catholic in the finals there. I just think it'd be the perfect ending to a great season in Class C1. And I really feel like those are the 2 best teams in the class. And I just hate sleeping on Shadron. I've told Berk many times, Shadron unknown probably has the best win of anybody in that class. They beat Northwest. That's one of Northwest's 2 losses. So I think the C1 final, no matter who's in it, is the one I want to watch on Saturday.
All right, and then we'll give the last question for Berk because it might be one of the most intriguing ones. Berk, if we wiped away classes and we're just looking at all of the teams here at state, and we said we're going to throw you into one big tournament, and it's going to come down in a couple of days to 2 teams that are the maybe the 2 best teams, or not even the 2 necessarily the 1 versus 2 team in the state, but if you did away with classes, the matchup that you would most like to see, regardless of class, if we had this perfect storm of schools and teams at one big tournament, what you would like to see? Yeah,
and I will confess here that Eric did send me that question a little bit earlier so that I would have some time to think about it, and it took a lot of thought, so it's not like I'm just kind of coming to this on a whim. And I have to say the team or the match that I would be willing most to pay to see would be Malcolm against Omaha Skutt. And that doesn't necessarily mean that Malcolm is going to win Class C1. I think that, as Tony mentioned very well, that thing is completely wide open. I think logically, a Kearney Catholic St. Paul match is about where I'm leaning on it as well. But when I think about the match I would most want to see, that would be the most entertaining, I'm going to take Malcolm and Skutt because I want to see Jayla Zimmerman go against the best team in the state, and I want to see how that works out. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to shy away from this at all. Amber Dolliver one of the 2 or 3 best coaches in the state. What she has done at Malcolm and the things that she does as far as game management and just the way that she has had that team prepared, I have incredible respect for her as a coach. I have incredible respect for Renee Saunders as a coach at Scott. I think Brooke Haney and Jayla Zimmerman are by far the 2 best players in the state. And if you put those 2 teams on one court, I think it would be fireworks. I think it would be an incredible match, and I would love to see that happen.
Well, we will. We won't get that necessarily this year, but maybe somewhere down the road we can arrange something like that. Berk Brown, Nebraska Prep Volleyball.com. Again, real quick, Berk, some of the things that people can look forward to on your site over the next 4 days.
I don't know. Anything that I could just puke out there right now. We're in the process of trying to finish up, all the different previews with all the different tidbits of information about teams and matchups right now. So right now for me, it's a mad dash to just try and get push as much information about these teams and these kids out there to the public to see, because I truly love and have so much respect for all these kids and coaches and programs out there playing volleyball that I just feel like the whole world needs to know what a special place this is for high school volleyball. So I'm just putting as much stuff out there as possible, man. So hopefully what people can expect is information overload, very poorly written.
Well, we always like the tidbits. You just got to be able to sift through it and for the best stuff. Berk, thanks as always, and Tony, big day for us, or big weekend, I should say. We got a lot of volleyball to be covering there on Friday on the NFHS network.
Yeah, we'll be there. Berk will be helping us. It's a great day. Last year we were. I was unfortunate enough to have to go to a football game, but I'm happy that I get to just kind of sit in Pinnacle Bank Arena all day. I think it rivals. Friday at State Volleyball, with those 2 courts going at the same time, I think it rivals State Track. The second day of State Track is one of the coolest days the NSA puts on, and it's right up there with the wrestling semifinals as well. I think those 3 days for kids and sports and fans in our state are 3 of the best days you can have. It'll be fun.
Totally agree. Thanks
Amen.
so much, guys. Looking forward to a lot of fun over the next 4 days. And that's going to do it for Prep Huddle Live here on StrivSports.com. Big stuff happening now for the rest of the way, so stay tuned. We've got the Leslie Fox with St. Paul Wildcats. Her athlete spotlight will be ready to share just as soon as this show is over. It is right there. We just got to hit. Oh, our camera went away. Oh, there I am. Ah. I was so excited I pointed away from the camera. In any effect, thanks for watching us here today on StrivSports.com, and here in just a second we'll get out of here. So I'm done. Thanks for watching us here today, folks.